When I'm out walking in the woods at midnight, I like to take a moment every now and then to stand still and enjoy the peace, and also ask myself, what on earth am I doing with my life? And then I think back to what I was doing in the daytime, and I think, what on earth am I doing with my life?
Oh, we love him. Oh, we love our boy. Oh.
Most of my adult life I have lived on canal boats, and as you can probably imagine, having my first steps into freedom and independence completely entwined with these incredible rural, natural and peaceful scenes has had a tremendous impact on my worldview. For example, living somewhere so rural that people would go to the trouble of picking apples off their own tree just to leave them out for people from the community and strangers alike to help themselves to, without ever knowing who'd picked them or who else was out there eating that same crop, is a far cry from the introduction to the so-called real world that a lot of my peers had when they went off to university and learnt about an entirely different version of the world from what I see out here. It's quite funny really, because there were a lot of people in my age bracket who looked at my early years of boat life and thought, oh yeah, I can see the appeal, that's very pleasant and nice environment, yeah, but goodness me, that must be boring. Remember, this was an era where there wasn't even proper phone signal in a lot of places, never mind mobile broadband. So I would disappear out into the world and literally be out of contact sometimes for days on end without speaking to a human. What's quite funny about that is that, well, they saw it as a nightmare. I bet there's a few people listening to this now who are thinking, wow, that sounds like absolute bliss. And believe me, as a lad in his 20s, it was often a little bit of both of those things. It's very easy for me to say that narrowboat life gave me this revolutionary mindset and worldview, when of course the reality is that I obviously had to have some inherent interest to begin with in having a simpler and more in tune with nature and active outdoors lifestyle, otherwise I never would have ended up on a boat in the first place. And this is something that has become ever more obvious to me as I've looked back at my ridiculous amount of archive footage from 20 years or so of my life. I'd like to share with you a short clip that helps prove I've always been this way.
This is me on the 25th of August 2023. It's about 1 p.m. I'm about 4 miles into a 7-mile walk and I'm about to stop for some dinner. This is me almost exactly 15 years ago. I'm on a dinner break from doing a little bit of writing. I've got me drinks, got some pasties, and, well, this is what I call a dinner break. Of course, the only trouble is I have to walk just over 7 miles to have this break. Oh well. There has to be a personal lesson in this for me. The fact that I'm still out here doing the same things I've always enjoyed doing, that just so happen to be entirely based in nature and the great outdoors.
By most people's standards, my life has significantly deviated from the usual goals, milestones and achievements that people might expect from a life in the modern world. And this is something that has caused me some significant disruption to my sleep over the years, where I've gone through phases of feeling utterly directionless and utterly without any clue of what to do next. I think that it was both a blessing and a curse to go through moments like this whilst living on a narrowboat, because I could have these incredible moments of realisation that I had no clue what I was going to be doing in even 2 years' time or 1 year's time, yet alone what my overall point of my life was going to be. But I would have those thoughts and moments, maybe even of panic, surrounded by some of the most gorgeous, peaceful, brilliant scenery I could ever have imagined, and then think, you know what, life's all good. So you can probably imagine this wasn't a recipe for a rapid response and a master plan of how I was going to utterly change my life and create purpose and become a hugely driven, focused businessman. Instead, I carried on working my part-time supermarket job, posting a ridiculous number of YouTube videos, and writing and releasing my short boat life books, which eventually added up to an absolutely ludicrous number of words, which once I put them all into this paperback, shameless plug, I was astonished, to be fair, at how much work I'd actually done over the years. On a deeper level, you can also see this book as quite a symbolic item. Just as my short writing projects eventually came together to create an overall printed book that was far bigger than anything I could have ever imagined creating at the time, and probably bigger than I would have ever set out deliberately to create from scratch. While those words were being written over my formative years of boat life, I was also absorbing all of these unbelievable, rural, peaceful, tranquil moments, and these were themselves being added to an ever-growing library of experience which over time continued to compound and drive me to think to myself, well, I've enjoyed this experience in this location, I wonder what's around the next corner, and I wonder what happens when I hop on my bike and ride over that hill in the distance. And of course, this eventually became a self-fulfilling cycle and a self-perpetuating drive to enjoy life and be out in these places. So when I look back at that much younger, much more foolish version of myself, as I'm now approaching 40, I've actually got quite a lot to thank him for, because if I'd have bucked my ideas up and got a degree of purpose in my life, I wouldn't be doing all of this pointless stuff now, and loving it.
Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I've got a couple of quick announcements for you here. Firstly, during October I'll be launching a new little audio series that I hope will be a nice bit of fun and something that you'll all enjoy. And also, as I'm trying to have a bit of an end of year fundraising push, I've got a few various options if you want to support all of this madness and nonsense. So firstly, I'm going to do another limited run of my signed paperback books, and I literally will sign the inside cover of a book and post it out to you in the real world as a real thing. I'm also going to do a few of my wax sealed handwritten letters as well, because, well, it's a novelty and I quite like doing those. And as always, there's going to be the usual things like Patreon, channel memberships and all of that sort of stuff. So if you've already been supporting me via these various means, I would like to once again extend my tremendous gratitude and thanks to you. And if you're interested in some of the other stuff, then check the links in the video description, visit sortofinteresting.com, and you'll find it all over there. Thanks so much for everything, my friends. I hope you'll continue to enjoy whatever else I find to post about from the great outdoors and beyond.